or add us on PayPal, or also we have our text to give 808-426-2428. And our newest way is our QR code. Here you can scan it and take you right to our website. Give today.
All right, this is our first session ever of Glory Stories. Right now I'm sitting down with Rayden, and Rayden got saved at a young age here in Victory Outreach Church. For those that may not know who Rayden is, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, everybody? My name is Rayden. I'm 27 years old, and I just thank God for His saving power. You see me earlier, I had to just wipe my face a little bit, because God did a lot. God did a lot on the inside out. Because I looked in the mirror every day. I was sick of what I was looking at, because where I came from. It was just it was an ugly place, but God ended up cleaning up that place. He ended up cleaning up my house, and I started just doing a new thing in my life. I just thank God for that, for His saving power, because He saved me from a lot. My mom and dad were arrested. They were fighting their cases, and the boat went down in front of my eyes. It was like a crazy thing to witness, to see that. So it was a very hard place I was. My house wasn't wasn't the best house, but we made the most out of it. And my mom did her best, my pops did his best, but decisions and choices were made that ended up what took place was they got arrested. And from then on, once they got arrested, from then on, my life was just never the same. It was just downhill from there.
How old were you when your parents got arrested?
Man, they were like, I was like about, I believe, 26 years old. So yeah, at that age, man, like, it was just like, ain't no 5 and 6 year old who want to see a thing like that, because those ages is where you need your parents in your life, you need the mom, you need dad in your life. But that was stripped from me because of decisions that were made. I don't blame them though. I blame what like that the actions, or I understood at the end as I got older.
So as your parents are locked up, are they locked up at the same time?
Yes, they were locked up at the same time.
So you eventually had to move in. Was it like with family, or CPS get involved?
Yes, CPS did get involved, but my grandma stood up. So if you guys got a grandma over there, as you guys watching, cherish your grandma. As life is too precious, you just may never know. And so my grandma's still alive today, so I always bring tribute to her. And first and foremost, I give tribute. I thank God, but most of all, I thank God for my grandma that was there, that never gave us away to CPS and never let CPS take us, but she stepped up and said, I'll take care of us. So I'll forever be grateful for that.
So how was the environment staying with your grandma?
It was rough too, though, in a way, because I had cousins, and we all do have cousins in our family. So my grandma raised me, but at the same time that I was learning from my cousins too, and his friends, they would always come around. So my grandma's house was just basically like the house that everybody would come. My grandma would wake up, cook for all the people that was hanging over from the parties before. So my grandma's house was like the life of the hood, in a way. Like, people would party over there. I wake up to hearing fights and different things. Siren police will always come to my grandma's house, and our house in general. I was always surrounded by that. So sirens were just music to my ears, in a way. I would always hear them, always come by, and it was just like, my house would be all fogged up, with smoke and different types of smoke, You had the weed, you had the alcohol, you even had so much things, like so much drugs, so much things going on. That was just my environment, and that was what I seen.
So a lot of exposure, drugs, you were saying alcohol. Did you fall victim maybe to, dabbling in these things, or how was it, being in that environment?
Yes, slowly but surely I did. I didn't go far, but I went far enough. I started off with just getting high, smoking weed, and from weed I went to coke, and I mixed it up both. And it was just from there, that's the farthest I went. But to me, that was far. My mom and pops did more. There wasn't a pipe. I never did touch a pipe. You know what I mean? But even though they did that, I still loved them as my parents. But I seen that kind of scared me, so I never did go far. But I always had that thought, man, I ain't never went to touch a pipe, no way. But I did, the closest thing to a pipe that I could probably think of, maybe like a hookah or something. I don't know, but I had weed in there for days, or I was waking big. So just weed and coke was my thing. I always mixed it up, and it's the farthest I ever went. That's the highest I ever got was just coke and weed mashed together.
That's crazy, our generation deals with, the temptations of drinking, smoking, a lot of it has to do with the people we hang out with. So how was it, maybe school? Can you tell us about school, maybe junior high to high school? How was that?
Yeah, school was different. Definitely, it was just like a lot of decisions had to be made in this school, because school, you had everybody. You had people from all over. I had my friends that was living in my environment. It was all like just right there. Yeah, school was rough though. School was really rough. That's where bigger things I dabbled in. Skipping school, a lot of different things like that. Like it just got crazier from there. It got more up. Start putting licks. Whatever they was doing, I was doing. Beer run, whatever, fighting with this group, that group, wherever the crowd went, I was just basically following the crowd in those schools. And it was just hard, it was really hard. Especially that part where they had to tell you sign papers for your mom and your parents. That kind of always hit home, because I'm like, man, I don't got no parents to get these paper forms to. But I did have a grandma, but in the end of the day, it still killed me though. I covered it with a smile, but behind it I was broken inside, because I was like, man, I really don't got parents to give these papers to, and there's other kids I'm sitting with, they have, but I didn't. So that really scarred me for like a long time in school.
So, this session is Glory Story. There is something I did want to ask. In high school, was it high school where you carried the cross?
Yes.
Could you tell us maybe, how you got saved? What really ignited you to do that? Because coming from a background where you lost, your parents are locked up, you have to move in with your grandma, drugs and alcohol is, you're exposed to. You get saved, maybe you could talk about the glory in this whole story, and specifically maybe the story where you carried the cross. I'm gonna just let you explain.
Yes, definitely where God gets the glory is when, I was just like walking around the block, my block, and I was just questioning. Questionings was running through my mind, like a lot of questions, until I had a sign, and then I ran to a street sign, and it was like a stop sign, but it really wasn't there. But it was like on my street that had these different signs. But it was crazy because I was looking at that sign, even though it didn't have a stop sign, I literally stopped in my tracks. And it was a trip, because I seen that. I noticed I know usually the stop sign, there's a sign, but it's crazy. I stopped even though I didn't have a sign. It didn't have a sign, so I just knew like right away that that was a sign. And basically our church came, Victory Outreach came, they prayed for me, and they told me something that I wanted to be a part, telling me about the gang, God's something in our generation. And then from fast forward down, I was just hearing preachings of being down for God, blasting for God. What is blasting? It's basically, man, you stand on a table or wherever you see crowds, you let them know how God changed your life. And I was brought up in that. I seen that, I heard that from preachings. And it wasn't until, man, so many preachers I heard, but it wasn't until this one preaching that I heard at a gang night and our youth night. And they're like, man, if you're down, man, you go to high school and you tell everybody about God. And who's radical? Like, who's down that place? So I remember, like, man, I'm down. So I remember carrying a cross. I was like, okay, boom. Like, because I was down for things before, so I switched it up for God. So we looked in the storage, there's a big old cross. I was like, we're going to carry this cross all the way from the church to the school. We're going to let everybody know, because I heard that. Like, I heard that, man, are you down? Who's down to let everybody know about God? And I stood up. I was like, what? I'm down. So we carried that cross, and we had little Post-it notes, and we let everybody sign on what they're going through, what they want to put on the cross. And they did that. They did that very thing. It was crazy, and the good crazy, because everybody in school was like, what the heck's going on? They never did see that. But we did that. It was a new thing that God was doing, and to see all the kids write down what they're really going to and posting it on the cross. as a sign of man giving God glory, that God is gonna come through whatever they got on that posted, and they posted up, and then God get the glory and through all that.
And that was in front of the whole school, right?
Yes, that was during like a lunch period time, so everybody's sitting here. It was planned, so it was like, okay, lunch, everybody's gonna be on lunch. There's nobody's not gonna be on. Everybody's gonna be on lunch. So we just did that. We pulled up and boom, we pulled up, did our thing, and it was,
So what were some of the students' reactions, maybe, when they see this guy, young guy carrying this cross?
Man, they were like, my God, this is a Jesus freak guy. And I was like, yeah, you already know what time it is and stuff. I'm gonna let you know today that God is real, So people were just, like, whoa, like shocked, because they never seen that before, but it had to get done. You know what I mean? That it had to be known, because even a lot of believers, they brought them out of the show, because when they seen us roll up with the cross, they was like, dang. And then I believe it did something in the believers in the school. They end up stepping out, like, dang. Because you know what I mean? Like I ran across some believers, but they were just waiting for somebody to step out, and it took a group of us, to do that, to where the other believer was like, you know what? It encouraged them to step out, and that's what it brought. It brought about that they were like, you know what? If I could do it, if they could do it, I could do it.
Man, what a powerful glory story, coming from, the background of, drugs and, even, the absence of your parents. You came out to really be a man of God. And I think our generation needs to hear this type of stuff, and, maybe you can leave the viewers with one last word of encouragement.
Yes, if you're viewing right now, just know that it wasn't coincidence. That you heard this story. Maybe you could relate, or maybe you have a son or a cousin, nephew, nieces that could relate, or that's living in this life right now. Like how I lived that party life. I was running around the street over here in Wapao and all over different streets. I was just running, but eventually when I was running, I got tired. So if you have a son out there, if you have a nephew, nieces, grandkid, whoever, a loved one out there that they're running to, that they're on the run to, they could be on a run from, I don't know, the police, the state, the feds, I don't know, but just know that there's still hope for your loved one that's out there running. Because when I was running, first of all, I'm not saying I was the biggest, baddest guy, but I did hurt. I did come from that lifestyle, and I know what it is to hurt. I know what it is to be on a run, most of all, not only from your family and all that, but being on a run for God. And God stopped me at my tracks. So I want to let you know, today is your day. You're the one person that's viewing today, that's believing for your loved one. Today is the day that your loved one will get touched. You continue to pray, continue to hang on to faith. Let nothing take your faith, let nothing discourage you. You hang on to hope. There's still hope for your loved one. There's also still hope for you. So if you're tuning in, hang on to hope and look to Jesus. And Jesus will carry through you. And I tell you, I called upon so many things before. I called upon, different things. My exes, I called upon so many things. But that day I called upon God, that's when it was a wrap for me. So call upon God. I challenge you. Don't call upon that person to give you a case of beer or 40, whatever. I did that. I tried that. But it didn't know my pain. But the day I called on Jesus, he took away every pain. So call on Jesus today. Encourage you. Tap in.
There it is. Listen, that's a glory story for you. We thank you, Rayden, for coming through, sharing just a piece, of your life story. I know there's much more we could have talked about. Maybe we'll do another segment. But for those that are viewing this, hang on to Jesus. God has a plan for your life. Right here from Victory Outreach Hawaiian Islands, we want to say God bless you and have an awesome day.